Hey guys, welcome to another video. Okay, so a bit of a rewind and what we're going to be talking about today. A couple of months ago, I was contacted by Wella and they had found me because I use Wella hair colour and I already use their shampoo and conditioner from their Brilliance range. Pretty much the way this works, it's called System Professional. There is like an online tool you can use. You put in your specific hair problems or the things you like about it, the things you don't like about it, and it will give you a unique energy code, it's called. And then that energy code dictates the products that are suitable for you. There are 1.7 million different combinations, so no longer do you have to buy a shampoo and a conditioner that is for coloured hair or for fine hair. You can totally mix and match, and everything I've got behind me is bespoke to me. Wella were really kind and they've run a competition where 3 of you can win all of the full-size products that make up your unique energy code. So I'm gonna name you guys at the end. I wanted to make this video more than just me coming on here and naming some winners, and I thought that with the System Professional products, the whole concept of it is about restoring yourself back to your original best. I thought that this would be a perfect way to be able to slip in there a conversation about the transformation I've been on. The concept of reinvention and the concept of restoring yourself, I think, is a really great thing. Let's say you've had a baby and you're suddenly like, oh my god, I feel like a different person. What is my identity now as a mother? Or maybe you've been in a long-term relationship that's come to an end and you're like, who am I? Maybe you've graduated university, you're in the world of work and you're thinking, do I need to change how I act, how I look, how I dress, how I behave? It's like, you know those makeover shows where you get someone who goes on and something's happened to them and they just want a totally new look, a new me, and that is what I did. Okay, so 2016 for me was kind of like a crazy year. The year before that, in 2015, I'd taken a massive decision, one that I had had in the back of my mind for about a year before I did it, and that was to quit a perfectly good job and try and go it alone. So I quit this job and I suddenly go from working with loads of colleagues, people that I class as my friends, to being at home, lonely, on my own. It's me and the biscuit tin. Literally, I was sat at my desk. You've got the stress of thinking, I've got to try and make work for myself here, I've got bills to pay, and at the same time, you're getting up in the morning, you're like going to your desk, you're still in your pajamas, and I was spending so many days just stuck in the house. By 2016, it was actually the start of autumn, it was September. When I remember back to the person I was when I worked at that particular job, I thought I had pressure, and I did have pressure, but I didn't have the pressure of knowing where I was going to get my salary from each month. My life had changed, my world had changed. The things that I had in my wardrobe to wear no longer felt representative of who I was. But also, I felt that I had maybe stopped taking care of myself in 2016, and this was my biggest thing. I was really tired. I put on 1.5 stone in weight. My whole life was focused around work. I wasn't taking weekends. I was working 7 days a week. I wasn't even eating right. There were so many things that I wanted to address. So anyway, I've gone along to this. It was like a party thing I've been invited to through YouTube actually, and I'd gone along to it in September. And there was this photographer there who was taking pictures of like the bloggers that have gone along to it, and he was like, can I take your picture? And literally I felt like rubbish that day, and I thought, I really don't want you to, but anyway, I got my photo taken. And when I saw it on his website like a couple of weeks later, I was like, oh my god. I was wearing the clothes that I used to wear when I worked in that office, which no longer fit me. I looked so tired and I looked so out of shape. So that photo was really the defining moment where I thought, right, enough is enough. We've been doing this a year, now it's time to take back control of yourself. So if you're in this situation yourself, whatever may have happened to you, if you're sort of like sitting there and maybe you've had an epiphany and you're like, I really need to start taking care of myself, or I just feel rubbish about myself, I've got like low self-esteem because I've been so focused on other people or on other things in my life and I just want to take back control. Make yourself a list. That is what I did. I got out my book and I made a list of the things that I wanted to address. Number 1 on the list was fitness, diet, and weight. Secondly was hair and skin. Thirdly was my mind. I was such a stressed person. I was really disorganized. And then the final point, which is an aesthetic thing, but actually I think that although this is aesthetic, it can make a massive difference to your mindset, is my wardrobe, your personal style. The first thing I actually did was I addressed my weight, my fitness and my diet. I was getting up in the morning, not normally having breakfast, and then I would have lunch sort of at like 1 or 2 o'clock, but I wouldn't take the time out to allow myself a lunch break. I would go from my desk down to the kitchen. I will admit it, I was eating crisps, super noodles, anything that was quick, anything that filled me up. I downloaded the MyFitnessPal app, which I think there's a free one and a paid one. I used the free one. I just started following that. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life, and within the first 3 months of using that app, so September to December, I'd lost 1 stone in weight. I have now gone back to my original weight before I quit that particular job I was in. I've lost 1.5 stone. I'm feeling sassy, I'm feeling good. I can't even lie, I feel back to my old self. I can wear my old clothes, but even better, I can wear new things in new styles that I love, and I feel great in them. But more than anything, I feel like I've got so much better energy. My energy levels are really back up to where they were. I'm sleeping better at night, I think because I'm eating better, but also because I've got more of a routine. The next thing I addressed was my hair and my skin. Particularly my hair over the last few years has not been my best asset. It's been, I got to a point where I preferred my hair long, and I didn't want to cut it short, but at the same time, I didn't like it. It was just sort of, the cut was really bad, the condition was really bad, it felt limp, it felt flat. I started going to a different hairdresser, and I changed the hair colorant I was using, and I changed the products that I was using. I started using Wella products. This was just all because the salon that I was going to is a Wella salon. Really, I found that the condition and the texture of my hair was so much better. My hair felt thicker, it felt fuller, and because it was thicker, and there was more sort of structure to it, I was able to do more with it, whereas before it was just this limp mess. In addition to that, some of you may know, I also thought, hell, if I'm changing my hair, if I'm gonna change my style, if I'm changing everything, I am gonna change my skin as well. Guys, I can't even tell you this. I literally made this list, and I was like, everything that I think I can improve on, I'm gonna change. The skin thing was, again, one of the best things I feel like I ever did. I started having skin laser therapy, non-ablative, in January this year. The condition, the texture of my skin, I actually only had it done about 3 days ago, so right now my skin is really crispy. I don't know if you can tell that, but for about 5 days after you've had it done, your skin goes really flaky and you're not allowed to scrub it, which is really horrible. But once the flakiness is gone, you're left with amazing skin texture. At the same time, back in September, one of the things that I definitely needed to focus on was, I've sort of mentioned it there, but it was my mindset. I was incredibly just caught up in day to day. So for example, I wasn't necessarily able to look ahead and plan things in and organize myself. YouTube, to a degree, was even part of that, because YouTube's always been something that I've done secondary on the side, and it's always been something that I've enjoyed. But there was definitely a point in the middle of 2016 where I wasn't really enjoying YouTube. It was something, it was just yet another job. It was yet another thing that I had to make time for. Being a lot more structured and being a lot more organized with yourself is one way of really reducing stress. If you feel now how maybe I was feeling last year, where you're like treading water, the thing you need to do is you need to break the cycle. You need to stop what you're doing, even if that stresses you out because you know things are going to be building up. You need to stop what you're doing and actually make the time to sit down without the smartphone, without your computer, and actually think about what it is that you're looking to achieve. I'm big into my vision board, as you know that, and that was another thing that slipped in 2016. I felt like I wasn't doing it because I was so caught up and so stressed by my everyday life that I wasn't really thinking longer term in terms of what am I actually doing all this for. And as soon as I was able to stop, take a break, not think about all that other stuff that was sort of buzzing around in my mind, and just think proactively about why am I doing this? What do I want to get out of it? That was the point where I was better able to move forward. Then the final thing that I did, and this was almost like the umbrella to sort of everything, I decided to go and consult with a personal stylist. This was never something I'd have thought of doing before. Well, I did actually think of doing it, but I didn't understand how to do it, how much it would cost, whether I'd be expected to spend an absolute fortune on like a whole bunch of clothes I didn't even like. I wanted that sort of makeover experience. I wanted to have someone else who knows what they're talking about be able to take me, look at me and go, yeah, this is the sort of thing that suits your style and your frame. These are the sorts of colours you need to look for. I've written a whole blog article on this, so if you are in this similar position where you're having like a style crisis and you would value someone who knows what they're doing, taking care of you, it doesn't have to cost as much as you think, and anyone from Topshop to Tom Ford offers it. So I will link to that article below because I've put everything in there about cost, about the process, about how it works. Doing that personal styling session gave me so much confidence. And you remember I was saying earlier about how I historically never loved buying clothes because I just found it boring and I didn't really know what to buy. The biggest thing that I took away from that personal styling session, beyond the clothes that I ended up wearing to death and still wear now, the biggest thing I took away was education. I suddenly had an idea and a confidence of what suited me and what didn't. Those two bits of knowledge meant that whenever I go around the shops, no longer was I just randomly picking things where I might have liked the texture of the fabric or the colour. I could actually look at things and put together a whole outfit based on that information I'd learned from that session. This is the biggest thing, guys. If you're in this situation, if you're like, I really want Gokwan in my life, if you're not in the UK and you don't know who Gokwan is, Google him. But if you want someone like him in your life to just take you and sort you out, get yourself a personal stylist. There are also ones that do makeup, there are ones that do hair, there are ones that do clothing. You can find them on Google. I never actually meant to talk about any of this stuff. I just, as I say, that day back in September when I put together that list of things that I wanted to change in my life, that was a real turning point for me. That process of just listing out all of the things that I wasn't happy about in my life, just doing that gives you some focus. And the most rewarding thing for me is on that list, which I still have now, was when I got to a point where I could start ticking those things off. I was like, the hair. I like my hair all of a sudden. The style looks great, the condition's great, I can tick that off. I just feel so organised and I just feel so in control. I'm really glad that I did it. So if you're watching this and you're in a similar position where you've been through anything in life, you know, or maybe you haven't even been through anything, maybe you're just like, do you know what, I've been stuck in a rut for a few years. I want to make a change. Whether it's aesthetic or mental or to your love life or whatever it may be, reinvention is a really good thing. It doesn't change who you are, it just allows you to grow into the person that you've become. Okay, now on to the good bit, on to the competition and who's won. Thank you to everyone who entered. I wish I could pick more winners, but I only picked 3. You guys are going to be listed along here now. Congratulations. I'm going to be in touch with you. I will write back to you underneath your comment on the vlog video where I went to Weller that day. I'll link to that video below. If you're sort of just curious about any of the things I've spoken about in this video, I'm going to link to the article I wrote about my experience on personal styling and what it was like and how much it cost. I'll link to that below. I will also link to the System Professional mapping tool. It's a really quick quiz that you take and it basically tells you what's up with your hair and what products you should be using. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this has helped any of you who are in the rut that I sort of was last September. Any questions, just put them below. I'll be really happy to answer. Thank you again, guys, and I will see you in the next video.